welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the upcoming full moon that's going to be happening on December 7th and 8th. This full moon is going to be landing in tropical Gemini along with hexagram and gene key 35 and the sidereal Nakshatra Rohini along with hexagram and gene key 23. I feel really excited about this moon. It feels really grounding and supportive and opportunistic and expansive. The Gemini energy is reminding us to communicate, to be clear in our communications, to utilize the mind and the intellect in a balanced kind of way. And with hexagram 35, this is reminding us to utilize the energy of adventure in our everyday lives. This doesn't necessarily have to look like a travel across the seas, although it can. This can sometimes mean us diving into our mundane day-to-day experiences in order to really find the opportunity and the wisdom that is imprinted on these mundane things. Sometimes we feel like we need to do something big or something vast in order to gain insight, in order to receive a download. And yes, we can, right? We can have these grand experiences which can be transformative and life-changing and impart us with the knowledge that we might be seeking. And there is also opportunity within the mundane. There is opportunity within the seemingly simple moments for us to really experience deeper insights and deeper wisdom and deeper understandings that we might not have if we were trying to seek far and wide only. The shadow of this energy is hunger. The gift is adventure, and the siddhi is boundlessness. And when we think about hunger, this is the hunger that is yearning for change, and change for the sake of change, maybe not even progressive change, but change just for the sake of difference, which out of balance can be destructive. And yet, when we bring it into the balance and we explore what adventure feels like, we explore what adventure feels like not only in these vast travels, but also in our day-to-day. We can tap into the potential of this boundlessness. And this boundlessness isn't necessarily an external thing or an outcome, but it is a way, it is a filter for our own consciousness. How can you allow the confines, the bounds of your mind to soften, to open more, to allow more in from a place of gratitude, from a place of optimism, from a place of opening even more to what is here now, which you may not be seeing. And through this, with this energy of the 35, there is an opportunity for great, great wisdom. And great wisdom from experience of whatever it might be. And from understanding and acknowledging this wisdom, we have this wisdom to share with others. We have wisdom to impart. Now on to the sidereal and Vedic interpretation. Rohini, which means the reddish one. It's funny because the root roja is red, and roja is red in Spanish, but Rohini is a Sanskrit word, right? So it's just interesting to see the correlations of the etymology across the cultures. I really, really love the connectedness of that. But Rohini is the reddish one, and she was the favorite consort of the moon. So what's interesting is that also, yes, the moon in the Hindu Vedic cosmology and mythology is masculine. It's a masculine energy, and the idea is that the moon would go around, typical, the moon would go around every day and a half, 2 days, across all the nakshatras, across all the 27 nakshatras. And Rohini was always his favorite. So there's a whole mythology of how he'd stay there longer with Rohini, and all the other nakshatras would get jealous because they wanted time with him too. And I'm not going to go into that right now, but a part of the reason why the moon goes through its phases of dark to light and dark again is to remember the balance of evenly distributing across all the nakshatras and not just staying with Rohini. Anyways, the moon is exalted in Rohini. So this energy, in the energy of Rohini, incredibly fertile, right? It represents fertile grounds for the seeds that we want to plant. And the archetype of Rohini represents the female, the feminine energy that's just starting her menstruation. So it's a very early stage of development, if you will. If you look at Anuradha, which we covered in the last new moon, she represents the elderly, wise woman energy. So here we have Rohini, who's more like the maiden. You can think of it as the maiden. And it's incredibly prosperous. It almost has this essence of playfulness to it, right? The energy of spring. So this time right now is very, very fruitful, especially since Chandra, the moon, is exalted in Rohini. It's a very fruitful time to plant the seeds of what we want to create with a very solid foundation. So it's a good time for business ventures that are long-term, good time for marriages. And another cool thing about Rohini is that it is also connected to the fixed star Aldebaran. It was known as one of the 4 royal stars of Persia. Even Ra talks about Aldebaran in the cosmologies. It's a very well-known star in a lot of different mythologies and cosmologies. And it generally has a Martian kind of energy, right? So there's a lot of aggression and fire, which can be used in a destructive way. But it's also very prosperous and benefic in many ways. It can bestow wealth and prosperity. It can bestow opportunities to win and succeed. Okay, so this is a kind of energy that we're working with here right now in this moon phase. There are a lot of opportunities to plant seeds that we want to see growing longer term. The projects that we might want to be putting energy into, the relationships which we might want to be building, right? It's a lot of starting anew and fresh from the ground up, from what we have and what we can build upon. And this energy is also connected to Sidereal, Gene Key, and Hexagram 23. So Hexagram 23 is splitting apart. And there's this really beautiful quote that I read about this hexagram from Café au Sol. So I'm going to read it to you now. All of life will not change you. It just unfolds to unmask you. And the splitting apart, it's a representation of the seed, right? The protective shell of the seed opening so the life form can sprout. From the Gene Keys perspective, this is the shadow of complexity, the gift of simplicity, and the siddhi of quintessence. And I just love this word, quintessence. My interpretation of quintessence is that it represents the purest energetic signature of something, the most purest, refined example of the energetic signature of any one thing. Right? So there's no extra fluff. There are no unnecessary bells and whistles. It's just the purity of the form, the purity of the thing, of what is. And bringing all of this together. One question that I've been asking myself lately too, and this was inspired by a group that I'm in, where this woman asked, where can you bring more play into your life? And I asked myself the question in relation to things that I've been taking too seriously, things that I might be trying to be extra on or about, It's kind of like, how do I bring more play into this? And what naturalness would be able to unfold? It's funny, when I said play, like a bubble, it just came out of my mouth. How do I bring more play into this? Anyways, what kind of naturalness would unfold from bringing more play? So I think of this energy in this way. I see it as an opportunity for us to really shed and refine and be very pure and true in what we are sharing, in what we are doing, in what we are being, and what we are offering, and whatever it might be. And all of this is bringing an opportunity not only to discern what needs to be gently unraveled, right, and what needs to be the focal point from the energy of which we're creating, but also what are the foundations that we want to lay now? What are the next things that we are feeling to build in our work, in our relationships, in our connections, in our life? Like, what do we want it to look like, right? And if we were to be so real with ourselves about what we wanted, based off of what we know that we know, and what we know we've experienced, and all of the wisdom and all of the insight and all of the education of life that we've gleaned from those experiences, if we were to own that and move from that place, what would we create and what would we become? All great questions to ask ourselves right now, especially in the next few days. If you're interested in diving deeper into your gene keys, I'm so happy and grateful to say that I'm going to be sharing a 5-week program at the Online School of Spirituality and Sensuality, run by a dear friend, soul sister named Kaylin Green. If you've been wanting to dive into your gene keys and you're looking for someone to guide you through it, I'm going to go through the spheres and how they relate to you. There are going to be contemplation exercises. You're going to have an understanding of how the Gene Keys framework works, but also how you can really explore the different ways to feel into the keys and really be supported by this information and by these codes. I'm going to leave the information at the link below. My social media is also linked below as well, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to connect and answer any inquiries that you might have. I'm sending all the love and all the grace and all of the reminders of your own alignment in your own trajectory, trusting in the direction that you want to go, while also staying surrendered to the divine flow, which we are all a part of. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you can stay in tune to my future videos. See you soon.